So Jimmy, I'm looking at, tell me what this thing is called, will you?
It's called a yurt.
Right.
And this one actually goes back to the basic first ones that was made.
Right. So where are the yurts? They're obviously not Irish, isn't that right?
No, the Mongolian yurts were they out on the prairies in Mongolia. They used to move them about with a kettle. So what would happen is just to be able to bring it down fast and put it up fast.
So the whole thing, this is like it's like a tent.
Like a massive tent, but you must realise that it held the whole family.
Right, so it's
and it might have to hold the family for 3 months.
Right, okay.
So they had to have everything, not like a normal an ordinary tent. Then another thing that I had to contend with was high wind.
Right.
And I'm told that this thing is actually very, very good in high wind because of the way it's made. There's no square things in it.
Right.
Actually, the wind actually it sits very well in the wind. So they were all the things that they had to come up with. Because this one is done with rope, at the time they made them with horse hair. You know, the hair of the mane and that, and off sheep and that, they would make it the wool and tie them in, which again was kind of just dismantling. It was quite quick, and they would fold up then, put on a cart, and they would go on to the next grazing.
So where did you come across the idea of the yurt?
I always wanted a yurt. I always wanted to.
Where would you have heard about them, originally? I mean, I would have only heard them in the last couple of years through clamping.
No, I've seen them going back years.
All right, okay.
And my big interest as a carpenter was to build one.
Right, okay.
And to make plenty of mistakes.
Right. So where did you get the particular
mainly off
shape and design or whatever? So
well, this is the shape of them.
Okay, but where would you find, like, did you get plans for it? Did you make it out of your head?
They're on the internet.
Right, okay.
They're on the internet, but this one, there's different ones on the internet.
Right.
You know, where they're all bolted and everything, and there's different things in them. But the one I wanted was the one, which I did get, was the one with the ropes in it.
Okay. So do you want to, maybe, I'll tell you what we do. We just go inside a moment just to...
But could you have a stove in there as well?
You can
like the belly pot?
Yeah, actually what they normally do is they put the stove in the middle and they put it out through the crown.
So that's called the crown, Jimmy?
That's
is
called
that
the crown,
top?
yeah.
Okay, right.
The crown wheel. And what happens, they put it out through there and you get a special unit that actually seals into the canvas.
Yes.
It doesn't burn the can. It stops all that, like, you know, so they're very, very safe. And they have like a pot belly stove.
Yeah, that's right, yes. Have you seen those in the yurt?
Yeah, and what happens then with the pot bellies that they could actually cook on them.
Oh, yeah. But if you're going to do the extension, which seems like a really good idea,
How do you mean?
you know, the decking or whatever you said you're going to do.
I have a decking already.
Oh, you've that ready?
That's all ready and everything, and there's a beading that goes all the way around that just sits outside. Mm-hmm. It's just looking at the next face of it, of maybe round to the corner, of actually putting another decking for sitting out in the sun, and a toilet.
Oh.
And then what that does, it takes away from the other three, as weight on the other 4 units going into one toilet.
So just to, I mean, a couple of weeks ago when I started doing this, firstly, let's just take these. So these are the walls. You cut these out and you were explaining to me that this wood was ash. Now I said I wouldn't know one end of wood from another, but you had a particular reason you said in terms of knotting it. So
this is ash, and the big reason for ash is that it is fairly flexible. And another thing, that it's got very few knots, because with this thing, when you got everything on it, it's got a lot of pressure on it. And if you have knots in it, when one breaks, then you get a continuous kind of...
So you get a splitting. So obviously in wood, white deal and that with lots of knots in it, you often when you drill it, sometimes it can split and the split will run along.
And it can do a lot of things on you.
Now the other thing you mentioned to me, was just going to zoom in on these here, but you know, as you can see, these are not drilled and screwed. You used rope in there, isn't that right?
I used plastic rope, and then I soldered the end of it.
Right,
so that it doesn't come off.
So it's almost like the wax seal that people would use in posts and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like you were doing the post, you would just...
So this sort of trellis work shape, as you can see, look, I see that trellis work that's all around there. when this folds up, just to say, does it concertina? You know, if you were to take, so let me just clarify, the piece at the bottom, so just to give an idea of height, well, you can see your height there, Jim, so that's about what, the height of the wall is about what?
From the
4'6", yeah.
From the door to this section, that actually concertina in to about that size. Okay.
So that we're talking about 10 feet goes into about 2 feet, okay.
And goes about that height.
Okay. Oh, of course, yeah. When a concertina we get, we get the whole length. We get the whole length of this. Yeah.
These are 6 foot. 6 foot.
6 foot. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So what happens then is that there's 4 of them. So actually, when you fold the whole thing together, you actually get 4 together like that.
Yes.
So you can actually put that into it.
So it's almost like 4 walls, but they're circular. They end up in 4 quadrants. So the 4. How did it? There must be a split somewhere here, is there?
There is a split here.
Okay, just I want to zoom in on that. So that's where that's screwed, isn't that right?
Yeah, and because of their old system, I can't really do their old system 100%.
Right.
So what the joints, I've got to put in bolts.
And how would they have done it in the past? How would they have done it?
What they would have done in the past, instead of having them crossing the way I have them crossing, they would have them cut short here. And then they would tie them into the next shortcut.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So they have like corner poles at each.
What I'm doing is I'm learning.
Sure. Right. So this is an experiment, right?
So maybe the next time I will do that. You know,
right.
To have no bolts in it. Just go back to the original. So actually what would happen, this post would be that length, that one would be that length, that one would be that length, that one would be that length, and the same back the way.
Right,
so when they came across each other, you tie them together.
Right.
And then you've got the same thing.
So when I was looking at this, as you stretch this into a circular shape, the wood obviously has to give. But the impact it had on me is I kept seeing that this was bowed in the centre. If you can just see that it was bowed. It looks, and as you pointed out to me, that's an illusion. And the other thing is, you know, that wood there, when I look at it, see this piece here, if you look at this in the camera, this looks like it's actually twisted. Yeah. But what I want to show you, what you showed me, Jim, let me see if I can look down the length of this with the camera.
The thing about ash, they use it for hurley sticks.
Oh, of course, yeah, the clash of the ash.
And the thing about the ash is the long grain. If you look at these grains continue all the way down to the bottom.
I'm just trying to get in close, folks, there to see what the point is. Yeah, okay,
if it is going to split on you, it's still going to be strong because of the way the grain is in it.
It's like very strong sinew, yeah.
Whereas in other woods, when you get a knot, the grain will go out to the edge.
Yes.
And then if it splits on you there, it can split all the way up there and take out half. And then it weakens the timber.
All right. Right.
So whereas the ash is completely different. And I know in ash they only use the root in that for hurling where the root is bent in that. But in ash itself, it's very straight. Very few knots.
So Jimmy, when you were showing me last night, again, I consistently imagine that to be bowed and skewed. For example, it looks like that there that is going in.
It looks like it's bowed, but actually what they're doing is they're tipping out on a straight. They're tipping out at the top on it.
Yeah, so we looked at it. Just take that. We had a snooker cue here last night, and I just thought, but this really showed the snooker cue is actually straight. So when you offer it up to it there, you can see that at no place is it twisting. Is that right?
No.
So it's a very interesting, because it gives, you see that there, when you see when you look at that there, it looks like that's bowed, you know?
Yeah.
So this, the next thing then, just tell me about the rope and stuff and what's involved with that.
What the rope is really doing, it's not doing much, only stabilising the thing.
Right.
But
you have 2 ropes now. Why did you have 2 ropes, for example?
Well, normally there's 1 rope.
Right.
But this first rope I got is like a bungee rope. That is not so...
So there's a bit of giving it?
Too much giving it.
All right.
The second rope has got no giving it, so I left the first rope in.
All right, okay.
It's not doing any harm.
So this is just a bit of a mod by you?
The nylon rope that's actually doing the job.
Right, okay, right.
But in saying that, if you were to build this and put your first canvas on the bottom, you wouldn't need a rope.
Why would the canvas would tighten it up?
The canvas will actually do the job.
I mean, just jumping there, we were talking last night about the cover. What are you going to do in covering this? And I just wonder, was it tarpaulin? But you were giving me you're going to get them made in England or something, is it?
You get them made in England, and it's canvas, and they're waterproof, they're flame-proof, and they're mold-proof, which actually you can leave them out all the time so they don't mold. And then they're flame-proof. They're not fireproof, but they're flame-proof, which if something comes up against them, they actually will not burn. They'll singe and they'll, which is kind of safety.
But it's going to be bespoke piece, so there'll be a piece that is whatever 5 foot high or something. The circumference of this.
The full circle of this.
Yeah,
and then there's 2 windows in it.
All right, going to build 2.
There's going to be
like
one
plastic
to that
windows.
side and one to the other side, and then there's a roller thing off canvas that comes down at night over it to actually cover it.
And then the roof. We talked about how the cover is going to be made. Then
the cover comes rolled in a big roll, and you start off and you just roll it over.
Right.
People roll it over, and on the top is cut out.
There's a section for that's a hole for the crown there, isn't it?
There's a hole for the crown. It doesn't cover the crown, and then there's a piece that's got it's like a square, and it's got a plastic in it that's like a window with 4 straps on it, and them 4 straps are tied down. The straps that goes round it.
Right. So would it be outside straps around the canvas, of course?
They're tied into that.
Right.
Okay. And then in the summertime, you can let one of them go, pull it over the top, and the top will.
So you can have ventilation. Just take us to the door now, Jim. Just because again you were, so the front door of our yurt. Just another question. I'm looking at it. How's this thing going to be held down, not be blown away? How does it? Is it tied down like with pegs, like you might do a tent, or?
The thing about it is it's supposed to not flow. This is the good thing about them. They are actually supposed to take very high wind as to sit.
Okay, right.
As to sit. But because I've got it on a decking, and with the canvas, there'll be loops in the canvas.
Right.
And I can put washers and a screw in there.
All right, to tack it down.
Well, I won't take the chances.
Sure, Anyway, this is not Mongolia. This is Wild West Donegal, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's in a place where you can actually get high winds.
So your doors, you can see here what you were building. You were building a door here last night. Now you've made obviously a lot of progress in that, but you were telling me this is a red deal, and you're going to cover this. And that was white deal, is it? All right, okay.
Which again, if you look at this wood and look at all the knots in it, look at all the knots in that wood.
Right. Again, I'm just going to, show you there and there. And I think what you're saying is, like, see that knot there. Well, if in some way I got a split there.
If you look at these two.
Yeah.
If you're dependent on them, on power, when you put all these together, they're very strong.
Sure.
Right. But if you're dependent on that one on its own, there's a split there.
Right.
Because these two are going to let you down. That you don't have in the ash.
In the ash, right.
There's nothing like that.
Now, I asked you when I saw this last night, because this is going to be out in the wilds of Donegal with lots of harsh weather, etc., how the deal was going to withstand the weather. And you told me you were going to gloss paint them. But you said something to me about, was it your father, about they used to use paint for the instead of glue?
When my father used to make anything but outside, and we didn't have much kind of glue, and he used to paint them, very heavy, thick paint.
Sure, let's just look at the dowel. See the way that's
joint would be
dowel in there, isn't it? What do you call that?
This is a tenant, Morton tenant.
Morton tenant.
Yeah.
Okay.
He would paint that with good, heavy, thick paint.
Hey, Bill McCarthy, if you're ever looking at this is like mullions and transom that you told me about your windows.
All right. Yeah.
Another fella. Yeah. Go on, Morton.
So what happens is when it goes off, and it's like glue.
So that you stuffed it with paint, and he used the paint.
Yeah, right. They would use the paint as glue then them days, because we did. Nowadays you have tubes of glue, and you have guns, and you have all different stuff, but they would use the paint, as much paint as possible.
So you just cut this out, and then you were showing me how you routed these sections in here. You have your router there, and then you cut these. Well, you had these sections, isn't it? These bits of wood, you had bought them.
Well, then I buy them in lengths,
Yeah, so that sort of.
You just cut them on angles.
Yeah, and you cut them, and you were sliding them in. So the doors,
you see them on the back where they're actually.
So which is the outside?
Oh, this is the outside.
This is the outside here. Okay, all right. Just show me, because you told me the interesting idea. The doors are not. Both leaves are not the same size. There, isn't that right? On your door.
Pardon?
Both leaves are not the same width. You're going to put a 2 foot and 1 foot.
What happens is that this one. And then there's a small one.
Yeah.
So actually, the small one can be left kind of.
It's like almost like a vertical half door, isn't it? Right? You know
the
way they
were.
Yeah. Like the half doors in the old houses.
We don't get summers like they got in Mongolia.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do.
Sure. Yeah.
You can open the two doors. You can open the top.
And let a bit of air into it. Yeah.
And it gives it a bit of a,
Now, I just want you, we were doing something just when you started this morning. I said maybe wait till we get this on camera. But putting what do you call the struts on the top? What do you call those ones?
just your roof rafters.
Yeah, the rafters. Now, I asked you maybe show us how to put around, how you're...
Yeah, what they do is they fit into a hole on the crown.
So I just need to go in there.
In the crown wheel.
Yeah, okay.
You just fit into there.
And then, now in this case, you just left that lying there.
Well, no,
yeah.
there's a timber going behind that.
Right.
That's going to carry that. Because you can't just leave them lying there.
Sure, yeah.
Then the other one goes there, and we just won't go in when the camera's on it.
That's all right. Yeah, no, actually, just if we look at these are quite different. Just tell me a bit about this, because these are quite delicate the way you've done this, Jimmy. Right?
Well, what we'll do is we'll put one of them on.
Right.
We'll do one of them wide.
All right. So here's your again, just to show us, it's just nylon rope there, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, this is nylon rope. What we do is we tie this end. I haven't got the...
Right, to burn it. But the idea was to create a sort of weld there.
And then I burn that down so it welds, and then...
All right, so we have one of these here, Jimmy. I'll give you...
No, I've got this one.
All right, okay, sorry, you're having it. All right.
So what happens now, if you look at this one,
right.
If you look at that one,
so I just want to show you, so this has come up, obviously, it's been fitted into the crown, it comes down here.
Bring that one up a minute now,
yeah. So just you want to show you how...
End?
So the way that's been treated at the end there, yeah?
And the way it's cut.
So you've had to angle that in such a way that it'll drop into the slot like that, isn't it right?
Yeah. So what happens, the end of this rope now is not very good. What happens, this comes in there.
Right.
Right. Goes into this one. This one is not welded yet.
Oh yeah, so just at the end of the rope,
just hold it.
Okay, all right, yeah, we just yeah.
We weld these.
Just with a lighter, yeah.
So you can actually work with them.
Right.
That they're not frailing at the end.
It's a really good way of tapering off a piece of nylon thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm always using tape, etc. But that's, so you just...
What you do is you feed that through here. What happens, this one here grips onto that.
Right. Oh, I see it. It's bedding it down, yeah?
Grips onto that.
Yeah.
Then you go around this one, and you go through that one.
Jesus, Jimmy, I couldn't even tie my shoelace when I was young fella.
That one grips onto that.
Right.
It's really a matter then of coming in and going through the bottom there.
Wow.
Coming over the top and slipping it under this one.
Right.
Tied in.
Well, there's no, you don't, and therefore, sorry, going back to the whole idea is this thing for the Mongolian, you have to be able to set it up, have it stable, and get it down rapid.
They would have to take it apart when they moved, say, in a half an hour.
Yes, yeah.
Be gone.
And obviously, if there was a families of them, everybody in the family would learn. Everybody do a bit. You collect all those, and you'd obviously like the pins in the tent. Yeah. You'd have spare ones of these, and you just keep using them, etc. Right.
And there's nothing.
And you can see there, just to show you there that this is moving, but it's really important. I think what you're saying. Part of the design of this is its ultimate flexibility. If the wind is here with the ash, like that's because it's not tight. That's not a design flaw. No, but the other thing, yesterday we were discussing, I was asking myself, what's the trick here? Are we missing? Where's the missing bits? So this is interesting. See this piece in the middle, folks? You'll see. And in fact, as we go around here, you'll see in some places there are obvious gaps. Right? There's a gap there, there's a gap there. And I was wondering, what was the reason for this? So then you brought me into the issue with the crown, isn't that right? Yeah, the crown is what I took off the internet, but I see now that the crown's not big enough. In circumference, now the diameter's not big enough. 32 holes in that crown. Okay, just let me show you here, folks. So you can see that crown there, in its diameter, was only able to accommodate 32, just go down there, 32 holes. And if you had a wider diameter, you could have had more holes, isn't that right? Yeah. So if you were to be starting all over again, you'd have gone for a wider diameter, which would have accommodated making space for every one of these, right? So as we're recording this in Scioból, the main shed in Gweedore in Wild West Donegal in Ireland, one of the possibilities are, Jim, that there's someone else out there in main sheds, either in Australia or somewhere else, who may have either done this before, and if there is, we'd be delighted to get your comment on the video and maybe share some learning.
Or even if they see something that's wrong or see something that they think
could be done differently. Because one of the things we talked about last night, I was just wondering if you had found some way of making a bar that could tie in some way to create that extra strength. So somebody may have an idea.
Somebody might come up with an idea that would say, well, to do something, whatever, you know, that would, because really at the end of the day, this is my first one.
Sure, yeah. I know, I mean, obviously it's a super. Oh, the other thing you varnished it, yeah? I mean, that's the.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah, that's just because I can see a sheen on this here, we can see that sheen.
This is my sheen.
You varnished those before you put them up?
Had them all drilled and varnished before I even touched anything.
I mean, the other thing when we talked originally, you were saying about the advantage, say, the opportunity we have in this main shed, and lots of main sheds are in different shapes and sizes. We just happen to, as you can see around this place, we've a massive physical space here. But you were trying to do this on a kitchen table in the house, isn't that right? And you could never have imagined that. So you couldn't have tried it out. You have a full-scale model. We just moved everything away to make this.
It's not that big.
Oh yeah, no, but and the fact is also that you can do it at your ease. It's not right. You come and go and do it, because I mean, you said this is something you always wanted to do.
Oh yeah, it's part of, you know, I'll have this on my own site, like,
right.
And I would probably build more of them, maybe bigger ones, like, you know, and that's, you know, kind of. But I love doing it.
Right.
And it's just, you know, and there's probably somebody else out there who might love doing it. And I might want to chip in if we're doing another one here, you know.
Sure, yeah. Well, I just thought, I mean, my sense of all these things is that I sense if men sheds throughout the world, that there's so many skills. I mean, behind us in the background we can see a curragh that's been renovated, and that involved a lot of steam box work by replacing the piece at the end. And, you know, throughout the world there's probably lots of fabulous skills that guys have in men's sheds, and in some way, if there was a way of other sheds capturing these type of experiences and creating an environment where people could share their learning, look, everybody benefits from it, not right?
Well, not alone benefit, but a lot of people all over the world have busy lives, and then they retire to what? To nothing. Don't retire to nothing. There is life out there, and this is it.
And the other thing is, even there's so much that everybody can learn from everybody else. For example, for me, experimenting with this GoPro, which is a relatively recent acquisition by me, to do this type of project for me is challenging me in terms of lighting levels, audio, all of that. So, you know, that all of the different pieces of work can all support each other. That's really the point about it.
Well, we can support each other too, you know, which is like the big thing is that it doesn't matter what you do. We all done different things in our life there in 11 and, you know, get on with life. When you come to retirement, it doesn't mean that you should have to get on with it, you know, do things like this. The experience there, we'll pass it on. We'll help you, you know, and you'll probably help us. Yeah,
well, so just to say, I mean, this video will purpose itself out on our men's, Scioból of our men's shed Facebook page and group, but also on YouTube, and you'll find in the comments below here. First, we'd actually ask you to like us, whatever that means in social media terms, to click on the like button. But also, if you have comments, suggestions, requests, or otherwise, do set it into the YouTube or in the Facebook commentary line so we can create a dialogue. And as you said, Jim, there may be that if you have an idea, if you have photographs of similar ones of these before, or maybe queries or questions, delighted to look at hear from you. Okay?
Yeah, because like this is all old style. This is coming from people who actually took it from very basic probably to really like being able to stand up to storms. And,
I think one of the things you said from the start is you wanted to hold this as close to the authentic original as possible. No, right? That was one of the things that interested you. How could these people have done this stuff?
But today's world, that's very difficult.
Sure, yeah.
Because, you know, we don't have the skills that they had in them days. And I'm a carpenter by trade, and I can go back in a lot of stuff. But what they were doing with, like even horses' hair and what wool of sheep and that, and what they were making up and tying and everything, like, you know.
And also, I mean, one of the advantages I think of a men's shed is that it can capture, as you said, these skills which are fast disappearing in a world of automation, and in also a throwaway world. I mean, the one thing about these things is these were the family's house. These were a lifetime investment. They weren't throwing away these things. This wasn't like buying this tent for this year and throw it away at the end of the year and creating.
Was handed down from family to family.
That's right. So the skills had to go down with them as well. And the other things, I mean, kids would have grown up watching these being put up and down. So in terms, we were talking yesterday about how they learn, they were literally learning from cradle to grave. Like they're talking now about it, continuous professional development in your trade and in your profession. But in fact, in the good old days, you were learning all your life because that was the only way you survived. So I mean, it's not a new idea to have, you know, in service learning. You
But
know?
you can imagine in these days there was no canvas.
Yeah.
And what they used to do is they used to use the skin of the animals that they killed, because they lived off the animals. They killed them, and all that skin was what was put on and tied together to make this. You can imagine how it's so easy now. You roll a canvas out and onto the top, and you tie it out, and that's it. They had to make their own, you know. So it was like a.
But also, there was no sort of DHL spare parts division out in the middle of Mongolia. You had to make solutions out of what you had available.
That's right. Yeah. If it was tricky, then you had to work your way around.
So I mean, ingenuity is built into innovation. Ingenuity and creativity is part of survival in that case. So it's not a fun thing, you know.
And especially the way they were, what they had in them days, like, you know, that they had nothing to. You know, only this, and they lived off cattle and sheep and horses. And
so just a question that strikes me about heat. How would the Mongolians have stayed warm and something like this here, given I presume Mongolian winter is very cold?
How they would stay warm is they had a fleece cover, first of all, put on it, which I can get.
Oh, right, underneath the roof?
Underneath the whole thing. There's a fleece
on the
cover.
ground or on top?
No,
oh, sorry.
on the top and on the ground.
Yes,
okay,
the ground, all right.
That you can actually go right under the whole thing.
Right.
And I believe it's very warm. And then what they had is they had kind of, I believe, I don't have proof of this, but they started off with a fire in the middle, and they would open the top.
Right.
It's
the same, like the wigwam stuff.
The wigwam,
yes, yeah.
And then they got onto stoves.
Right.
So that was there. No, these are pretty warm.
Right.
And another thing, when you get people in it,
of course, you're generating something 80 watts a person or something.
And then with the fleece on the outside.
But of course, if you're using animal skin products, or the animals to stay warm had to have the sort of fleeces and skins that, you know, so you're just using those naturally appropriate products.
They were very warm. And in their days, there was no actual wood doors. They were actually all made out again of the animal cover and the fleece and everything. So the whole thing was fleece. The whole thing was covered. There was no gap in it. So
what's left? You know, where are we at in terms of expectation of when do you think you'll be ready to?
At the moment, it's just making the doors.
Right.
And then after Easter, I'm ordering up the
canvas. Right. So do you expect it to be sort of up and operational by the summer?
Oh no, this is going to be going in the summer. There's a little bit of work, like bits of them to be cut off. And
yeah, well, I'm going to say, would you see? I'm just feeling that's a very sharp edge. Would you board it?
They have to be cut.
Or you're going to cut them across and smooth them? You'd want, of course, you wouldn't, and you'd sand these or smooth them anyway. Isn't that right?
They would cut the can.
Okay, you'll see the way they're shown, but you were explaining to me how you did that with a spoke shave, isn't that right?
Yeah.
So again, for those who don't know, what is a spoke shave?
Tool.
Yeah, I've seen the guys, Huey and them on the boat that's down the back there using that spoke shave. It's a beautiful thing for getting curved shapes into it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you can actually do anything with the spoke shave. You know, you can actually make any kind of.
Do you have a spoke shave there? I'm just wondering what, just to show viewers what. You must have taken it away. Yeah. But again, I mean, that spoke shave's a traditional tool around here, and
Yeah.
I mean, Hughie was explaining before that a lot of the blades in the original spoke shaves are much better blades for reusability and sharpening than a modern blade you can get, isn't that right?
Well, the problem is that the old steel blade held, you could get it sharpened
That's
better.
right, and you get
The modern
because they weren't
steel,
just you couldn't replace them off the shelf. The modern thing is,
it's a bit like the throwaway sauce.
That's right. Yeah,
Nowadays,
yeah.
the old sauce they were
They had to last, 'cause you weren't gonna-
Had to be sharpened, and the steel was a better steel in it. If you get what do you call it? That stainless steel, you cannot sharpen it,
Right.
and it won't hold its cut
Right.
not like the old steel did. You might have to sharpen the old steel more, but
So anyway, look, maybe it'd be good to come back and visit this when it's in sight under the roof and all, so just to see, let people see what's up. Look out, folks.